Hi everyone, it's Amanda from I Sew A Lot and I'm here today with a new video which is to show you how quickly you can make a simple pattern. Everybody asks me on my vlog how I manage to sew so much with kids, work and life generally. So for all of those of you out there who are feeling that you're lazy, you're not. I sew really quick patterns and I'm going to show you that today. I'm going to show you how quick it is to make a named Paola. So I have already cut all my pattern pieces out and I can just show you my overlocker is threaded and so is my sewing machine. So I think that you could probably sew this in an hour and that's my challenge. I'm going to do everything on the overlocker except attach the neckband and also my hems of my sleeves and the body. I'm actually wearing a Paola today and I love it so much I'm a bit obsessed with it at the minute. So I've cut out all my pieces and I have just pinned together my shoulders, which is the first bit to sew, and I'm going to get going with that. So the time now is, let me just check, the time now is 12:17, as you can see on my phone, although it's back to front. So I'm going to check the time as we go and hopefully we're going to get this done in an hour. So here we go. I'm going to overlock my shoulder seams together. It does say in the pattern to put some stay tape in the shoulders, but to be honest, I don't really have any trouble with them stretching out, so I'm going to skip that step. If anybody has looked at the pattern, they would know that it is so simple. We only have 2 pages with 8 steps, and one of those is to cut out your pieces. So I think we're going to do it. Okay, so off we go. Okay, so that's my shoulder seams together. The next step is to pin my sleeves into my armhole and stitch those together, and then you just sew up the side seams and then the body's pretty much done. So I'm going to pin these together and then we're going to stitch them. Okay, so I'm all pinned and I'm going to overlock my sleeves to my armholes. Here we go. Okay, so the sleeves are on and the time is 12:25, so that hasn't even taken us 10 minutes. So then I'm going to pin my side seams together. As you can see, we've now got the sleeves on, so it's starting to look a bit more like a top. I'm just going to pin these side seams and then we stitch all the way up. Okay, my side seams are all pinned, so we're going to stitch those up. And if you're wondering why it's so quiet in my house, because I have 2 5-year-old boys who are soon to be 6, they're actually watching Minions in the front room with their daddy. So I do have kids, they are here somewhere. Right, okay, so let's get this stitched. Okay, that's sleeve number 2, and as you can see now, we have a top. And what I'm going to do for this version, I forgot to mention at the start, is I don't like sewing hems on really small sleeves because they tend to stretch out and it's really, really awkward. So what I've done for this version is I've actually made a cuff piece, and this is my cuff piece, and all I did was I put my pattern piece up against, butted it up against the end of the sleeve, and then I've carried on my sleeve to the length that I want and doubled it, because what I'm going to do is I'm going to sew these cuff pieces into a tube like this, and then I'm going to fold it down and then I'm going to stitch it onto the cuff piece. But you need to make sure obviously that it's going to fit around your wrist, and I know that the end of the sleeve actually fits around my wrist, so it should be fine. So I'm actually going to create those tubes now and then I'm going to put them onto my cuffs. So here we go. Okay, so those are done. So I'm going to fold those in half. So that's wrong sides together. So they create a cuff, like that. And then I'm going to place that on the outside of my sleeve, and yeah, that's going to create my cuff. Okay, so I've got my cuffs pinned on. You want to definitely make sure that you've got right sides to right sides, so you need to turn your garment in the right way and then pin your cuff on the right side of your sleeve. Okay, make sure you line up your side seams as well, and make sure when you cut your cuff pieces out that you've got your stretch of your fabric going the same way as your sleeve. Okay, so I'm going to stitch those on now. Time check, it is now 12:38. Looking good. Okay, so my cuffs are on, they're looking good. So now all we have left to do is to sew on the neck piece and then to hem the body. So what I'm going to do first, just to get ahead of myself, is I'm just going to overlock around the bottom edge, so that's ready for pressing up and hemming. Then I'm going to overlock the side seam of my neckband together, and then I'm going to use the sewing machine to stitch it in place, because I like to baste it first, then stitch it. And I know it seems a long-winded way, but I find that seems to work better. Baste it on, and then stitch it on, and then overlock it when I'm 100% sure that that's how I want it. So first of all, I'm going to overlock the bottom edge of my body, and then we're going to get onto the neckband. Okay, so that's my bottom edge done. Now I need my neck piece, which is just a big rectangle. And then we're going to stitch our long edges together, because this is going to be folded down to make our neck piece. It's going to be folded in half, and then obviously you have enough fabric so that you can fold it in half. So I'm just going to stitch that together. You don't need to pin because it sticks together pretty well. Okay, so that's that done. So now over to the sewing machine. Okay, so you have to fold it in half, and you have to match your notches. So as you can see, you've got some notches around there, and there's one on each side. Match your back seam as well. And then what I'm going to do actually is I'm going to baste it together, because I think that just makes it easier to get it on and to make sure that all of your layers are together when you stitch it on. So I'm actually going to baste around the edge just to make sure that that happens. Okay, so I'm going to change my stitch length to my longest stitch, and actually I might do it with a zigzag just to make sure. So yeah, then I'm going to change my stitch length to the longest stitch, and I'm going to stitch those two pieces together. So here we go. Making sure that my notches are lined up and the edges of my fabric are also lined up. And I'm going to do this probably at about 1 centimetre, because then it's not going to interfere with, you won't see the stitches when you stitch it on. I haven't pinned it, so I'm just making sure that they're both together nicely. Okay, so that's done. And now what we need to do is, right sides together, we've got to pin this to the neckline on the top. So I'm going to pin that together, and then we're going to stitch it on. And just to make sure that I get my back seam in the right place, I fold my back of my neckline together with both my sleeve seams together, and then do a little tiny weeny snip on the fold to make sure my back seam is in the right place, because there isn't actually a notch there, which it could have done, so I'm just creating a notch. Okay, so I've pinned my back seam, and you also have to ease this neck in a bit, so excuse the washing machine noise in the background. I think the notches line up with the sides, with the shoulder seams, so I've done that, and then you obviously have to stretch it to get it in when you're sewing it, so I'm just going to do that as I go. So here we go. Again, I've got my basting stitch, so this is just a straight stitch on my biggest stitch length, and I'm going to do that again at 1 centimetre just to make sure my basting stitches don't show on the finished garment. So I'm going to back stitch at the beginning, and then as I go around I'm going to slightly stretch the fabric to make sure that it fits into the neck hole. You have to pause along the way to make sure that you've got all layers together and that they're all lining up nicely, so that you don't have a wonky neckline when you're finished. So I'm just going to ease that in as I go around to make sure that it's all going to fit. You have to stretch the front quite substantially, but it's not too bad actually. It's not too much of an issue to get this one in. Sometimes neckbands can be a real pain. So So just take your time just to make sure you don't have any wrinkles or puckers. Okay, right, let's just have a look to make sure. Oh, we've got a nice bit of overlocking poking out there, which I need to trim. And it's looking pretty good. Obviously it's a little bit loose because I've just used basting stitches, but now we're going to stitch it together properly, and then we shall go back to the overlocker and make it all nice and neat. So now put my stitch length back to my regular length, and I'm just going to stitch it at 5/8 as the pattern says. Okay, so my neckline's all stitched. When I did finally stitch it on, I did have a couple of puckers, so I've just unpicked those and then stitched it all back. So now I'm going to take it back over to the overlocker. So we've just got to neaten up that hem and then press up the bottom and stitch that in place. And the time is on 12:55, so we're doing pretty good. Should be able to get it done in the hour. So off I go. Okay, so I've pressed my hem, and it's always easier to press it first before you stitch it up. And I am going to stitch that with a 1 centimetre seam allowance because I like a bit of a thicker hem on a jersey. Actually no, I'm going to do it, yes I am, I'm going to do it on a 1 centimetre, so that is 3/8. And I'm going to put my stitch length a bit longer, so I'm going to do about a 3.5. And I don't need to pin it because I've already pressed it, so I'm going to stitch away. I just hope I catch all my overlocking. I'm not filming. Oh yes I am. Okay, so I'm all done. My hem is stitched and the time is, I don't know if you can see, 13:02. So not bad, 40 minutes. And I'm just going to try it on and show you what it looks like now it's finished. Okay, hi guys, so here it is, finished article. Come upstairs because it's easier to show you in here. And the cuffs are looking really nice, I'm really pleased with that. And the neckline all looking lovely, no puckers or anything. Like I said in my other video, I've taken the shoulders in because that fits me better, and I think I've actually made the smallest size. I added a little bit to the length because I wanted it a little bit longer just in case I wanted to wear it out, but most of the time I'll probably wear it tucked in. But yeah, great make, 40 minutes. Anyone has got 40 minutes to sew a roll neck. So there you go. Thanks for watching and I'll see you soon.